And just to refresh everybody, I did raise some questions about the maps when they were submitted last week. And actually, I went back and looked at the tape on that, and Mr. Morgan did say as it related to District 6, in response to what I had said, he said, I understand that. I guess what I'd say is maybe consider this as a conversation starter so I could take your input and make adjustments. And he's reiterated again today that he's certainly open to look at things and to make some adjustments where they might be appropriate there. With that, given the limitations in terms of my ability to contact him, I talked with, to Mr. Wade on things, and we worked out a deal where I would submit something to the staff and then wrote up a memo that he directed to go to Julie Smith, and then provided information on the maps. What I did was basically move 6 precincts in the Fairfax County area, 2 each in 3 different places, to ensure that we had, which would actually result in there being no 2 senators who are who have been planning to run for re-election in 2023, not the people who are already indicated they're going to retire at that point, and that there would be no 2 senators in any single district. And they all happen, the shifts of the precincts are all right at the very edge of the districts. They do not substantially change anything in the districts, but I think there are some compelling reasons why, in particular, to look at the situation as it related to District 6. District 6, District 7, and District 3 were the 3 that we addressed, that I addressed in what I wrote up there. At last week's presentation, when Mr. Morgan was presenting and discussing District 6, he made several references to it being the Peterson district. And that certainly is an accurate representation, I think, of what that district has. The district has about 50 precincts in there. 39 of those precincts are currently in Senator Peterson's district. There are only 2 that are in my district. It just so happens that one of the 2 happens to be where I live. So it's not insignificant here. There are, I think, reasons why it might be better to make an adjustment, moving those 2 precincts from District 6 to District 7. There they are. Both of those precincts do border District 7 right now, and as is proposed. And the 2 precincts are Clifton and Woodyard are the 2 precincts, if anybody's checking on that. I'm pretty confident, looking at things, that the compactness scores would be much better if we adjusted, moved those out of District 6 and to District 7, because the inclusion of those 2 precincts does extend a small portion of District 6 substantially to the south and also to the west. So it goes farther west than the district was drafted originally, and it brings it substantially down into to the south. And it would fit actually in a much more compact fashion with District 7. I would also say that there are reasons related to communities of interest for making this adjustment here. There's an area that in Fairfax County going back to the early 1980s has been designated as the Occoquan watershed. That was referenced by Mr. Morgan today when he was talking about the House of Delegate map there as it related to a district that would be partly in the rural part of Fairfax County, which is where I live, and then partly in Prince William County. The area that these 2 precincts represent is part of that Occoquan watershed, and we have no community of interest, I think, by and large, with places such as Fairfax City, Vienna, and up to the Tysons area, which the rest of District 6 incorporates there. We use a different roadway by and large, Interstate 95 and 395 to get in towards the district, which is basically what divides a lot of different communities within Northern Virginia, whereas all the people along the rest of District 6, as is drafted, you use Interstate 66 and other Route 50 and others to be able to access the inner part of Northern Virginia and the District of Columbia. And those are not insignificant in terms of how people, their lives and how they operate. In terms of the Occoquan watershed, it's an area where there's 5-acre zoning. We have wells, we have septic systems, and we have lots of cell phone problems. And I had several just this morning driving down, trying to get out of my neighborhood, the area where I live, in terms of the cell phone kept cutting off there for a little while. Those are not things that are common to the rest of District 6 as has been drafted. The watershed with that 5-acre zoning and the lack of water and sewer systems provides protection for the drinking water source for the region. It's almost exclusively residential, and it's a lot of commuters who are there. So that there are, when you have a somewhat rural, semi-rural community, even in a place like Fairfax County, it makes it very different from pretty much most of the rest of the county, and particularly for what you have going up Route 123 from Fairfax City towards the Tysons area there, which is the area that is addressed and follows pretty much along the Beltway as an eastern boundary there. So those are sort of some of the reasons I think it would make sense to do these shifting around. What we do is 2 precincts would be shifted from District 6 to District 7, 2 others from District 7 to District 3, and then 2 from District 3 to District 6. And with that 3-way switch, then you move things around in a way that's compatible. You don't have to adjust the populations of anything else within that. Just one other thing, it would have no impact really upon partisan things. I mean, all 3 of these districts are pretty solidly Democratic and have significant minority populations. And actually, District 6 is the one that has the least minority population. And this would actually help in that respect a little bit. I would also point out, just as another element of fairness, when you're, if I were to be placed in a district with another senator, in reality, I would rather be with be placed with a Republican senator, because because what the composition of the district and where the precincts came from, would have only very small impact there, because you don't get a lot of people who are voting for someone just because they happen to know the person or happen to have voted for him on other things. In a primary situation, however, it is totally different. And in this case, when I first put the memo together that I provided to the staff, I said that there were 37 precincts that came from Senator Peterson's district and 2 that came from mine. It's actually 39 and 2 out of the 50. So it's basically he has the overwhelming majority of that. And in a primary situation, the people who have been voting for him, who are lean Democrat and have been voting for him in both the general election and in he hasn't had a primary, but they're the ones who have been voting for him regularly. They know him, they don't know me, and basically in a situation where he has 39 precincts and I have 2, there's really no contest as to how that would be likely to break out there. So it's a situation where, because it's looking at something where there would be potential primary rather than it be a general election, it would be a much more difficult situation to be able to respond to there. And as a final point, I will say that when I'm on the floor of the Senate, I'm referred to as the senator from Southern Fairfax. And if only you include my 2 precincts here with the rest of the precincts in District 7, you would have Southern Fairfax.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Kumar.
I'm not sure why we're hearing this. I mean, this seems to me like it's a statement of self-interest, not about good government or good districts. Almost like there should be an individual speaker time limit to that speech. I'm kind of in shock that we're hearing individual members, because we agreed to rules. We said these are drafts. We're going to smooth things out. And if somebody's colleague in the legislature doesn't like a district, we're going to all of a sudden spend a lot of time catering to the individual needs when this is about 8.5 million Virginians. So I think it's bad precedent for us to have individual members submitting maps especially of their own districts, which seems to smack in the entire face of what this amendment in this process is speaking to. So I'm not really sure why we're hearing this much detail in one district right now when we have a whole Commonwealth still to address. And we've already noted we're going to smooth out the edges later, and we'll consider incumbent addresses if necessary later.
And I appreciate the sentiment. Senator Barker is still also a citizen and as well as a member, and we told everybody if they wanted to kind of make their comment and put it in a shape file, they could get with Julie, and he did that, and we've heard it, and we can consider it, and it's kind of it's considered as a comment. If anybody has any questions, if they don't, we can move on to other public comments from the public. Yes, and I have a response from John.
Okay, so what I want to say is more about the process of this, and I appreciate what Senator Barker did here because he basically took the existing plan that he saw and he proposed some changes that work very easily and they're very clear. So I think that just from a process point of view, I think that's a very good way to do that. I understood it took a little bit of time to do that, but as a map drawer, providing me that input really helps things along. Instead of just saying, well, could you move those 2 precincts and leave it to me to figure out the rest? He provided a solution. It's right there in writing. So I appreciate the effort to do that. And I have that information. And if I'm directed to, I can certainly make those changes, but I haven't to this point.
Okay. So what I'm getting from the map drawers is that's a good way to reduce your suggestions and comment to the commission, and we appreciate that, and it will be considered and we can discuss it. And but the map drawers aren't going to do anything unless we direct them to go in that direction.
And
So
Madam Co-Chair Greta Harris, and I think every commission member can do likewise if they want to. And there are, each of us is from different parts of the Commonwealth that we may have deeper knowledge of a particular area. And so if Julie is ready to work with any one of us to be able to go in and do a shapefile if we want to make some specific recommendations for improvement. So it's a process, it's iterative, and we have the Commonwealth of Virginia is a big footprint. So we have many more places to go around the state.
So now I think it might be a good time to just take public comment, and that's what this all is. And then what the group does is consider what the comments are. If somebody